Welcome back to Rich Dad StockCast. I'm your host, Denney, and today we're tackling a question that a lot of people are quietly asking themselves. Did I start too late? Now, maybe you're in your 40s, maybe you're in your 50s, maybe you've spent years focused on work, raising family, paying bills, or just simply trying to survive. And now you're looking at your finances wondering if you've missed your chance. The good news is this: wealth is not just about when you start, it's about what you do next. And today, Rich Dad expert Andy Tanner is joining me to discuss how investors can build wealth, create cash flow, and financial freedom if they feel like they're late to the start. Now, before we get into this, go to stockcastbonus.com, grab your free investing tools. If you're serious about improving your financial future, that's where you start. Andy, welcome back, sir.
Boy, this is a great topic, man, and it is so relevant to to so many people around the world. I mean, the question is, did you start too late? We all did. There's not one of us that doesn't have something in our life that we look back and say, I would have, if I'd known what I know now, I would have started sooner. And certainly to a person, we all wish, including myself, we all wish we would have started earlier and done it more intense, and it's human nature. But you're as young as you will ever be today. Today is as young as you will ever be for the rest of your life. Today is your floor for youthfulness is today. This is as young as you can be. So it's time to get to that stockcastbonus.com and get going. You have thousands of people watching. Every single one should be there and have those free resources. Every single one should.
Go. All right. So, number one, I feel much more youthful now that you say that.
This is young as you and I are going to be, buddy.
I know.
This is the floor.
This is the floor. I don't know if it's sad or happy, but I'm going to take it as happy. Now, thinking about our topic today, why do so many people believe they've missed their opportunity to build wealth? I think a lot of people are in a mindset, they're more in the reactive stage. How can we address our listeners right out of the gate when they're thinking, man, I've started too late, I'm screwed?
Yeah, you asked the question, why do people feel this way? Well, they see the pole vault coming. We don't have in our house big pole vaults. We have staircases because it's much, much easier to just take things one step at a time and have an angle of success, right? And the angle of success is the horizontal movement in time that goes without effort. It's just going to happen. But there's a vertical component where you go up towards a goal. And what happens is people are running and running and running and running and running. They're not getting it done. Then all of a sudden they see where they've got to be. It's like, I got a pole vault, man. I got to do something quick. And most people aren't very good at pole vaulting. I see it. This is a very important topic for me personally, because a great business has a mission. And, I wrote a book called 401 Chaos, second edition, still with the publishers. We're still trying to get that thing proofread and get it right. But it is really one of the more important part of my career and life's work is to recognize that system does not have the horsepower to get people to where it claims it will get them, and it was never designed to do it, and yet we've inherited this awful thing that does great for Wall Street, does great for businesses, does great for government, but it doesn't do anything for the worker. And so this is very passionate for me. It's something I've shouted as loud as I can shout. I shout maybe a little less loud now as I'm older. I show my shoulder, say, look, if people don't want to listen, what do I care? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't force it. So yeah, people are way behind. I can give you the data off the tip of my tongue because this is something I stay current on, and I can tell you the numbers.
Well, yeah, let's jump into numbers because I think it's important to empathize with where people are because we were sold a bad bill of goods, if you will, right? And go to school, work really hard, save your money, invest in a 401k, and hope to retire. So what do the numbers say?
Well, the government's slow. They're most. If you go to the Department of Labor, they're slow, which really is not surprising because they're getting shut down half the time. But their latest numbers are going to be probably 2023, 4-ish. And they're claiming that, the average American household spend about 70 to 80,000 a year. Now that's going to be in 2026 dollars. We're going to see that hit 100. When the 2026 numbers come out, we'll be flirting with 100 grand a year. And just think about that for a minute. Most people think landing a 6-figure job was just their ship had come in. No, it's staying out of the poverty line now. You're staying at average expenses for a household. And so that's a rough deal. That means you've got a lot of dinks out there, dual income, no kids, right? Where they're saying, look, you got to work, I got to work. We can't afford these kids. So a lot of dual income, no kids having to make it to get any kind of surplus going. So the expense numbers are rough. The inflation has been brutal. The grocery store, when they say we're going to get a handle on inflation, we're not rolling back prices. There's no rollback here. It's just that they're trying to slow the tide. So the expense problem is going to get worse. The tax problem is going to get worse, right? And the sad thing about, this guy in New York, I usually don't get political because I'm a Democrat, Republican. What do I care? I just want to build assets and have a happy family. But that dude is scary because when you start saying, I will take care of you, the government, I will take care of you. You've just relinquished so much because now the government's going to dictate your standard of living, not you. And now you'll have an external locus of control in your life, and you'll take what they give you, the free stuff, whatever that is. Free stuff sounds good unless it's not enough and it's not abundance. So they're trading their birthright for a mess of pottage out there. And it's because they're not financially educated. It's because they're ignorant, quite frankly. They just don't know what they're doing. And they don't know what makes people happy and successful to go out and build and buy assets. It's not hard to make that part of your life growing up to buy assets. So that's one thing. On the other side of expenses is what we've saved in 401ks. And this is a huge problem. Because when you got rid of the pensions, you changed the dynamic of retirement from a cash flow function, a function of the income statement, to a net worth, a function of the balance sheet. In other words, if you went back in 1960, before the Studebaker Company went out of business, 1950, during the auto boom, you say, well, what's your pension look like? Well, I'm going to make, $3,000 a month, let's say, something like that, $1,000 a month. That's for life. So that's cash flow. That doesn't have a net worth component to it. $1,000 a month for life, right? That's your pension. The 401ks supplanted those, and now you say, what's your retirement? And now I'll tell you what the numbers are. Someone might say, I got $93,000. That's what I got, $93,000. So, for example, the report that I like the best, you can Google it. Just Google Vanguard, How America Saves. There's about 11, 12 trillion in contribution plans, people that put money away in 401ks type stuff. About 11, 12 trillion of that. Vanguard's got about 2 trillion of it, of the country. So 11 trillion in the country, 2 trillion of it there, give or take, at Vanguard. So that's pretty good sampling. In the demographics section of that report, they break it down by age, 20 to 30, 30, 40, 40, 50, 50, 55 to 64. In that category, 55 to 64 is the highest number. 65 and above is not the highest number because they're spending it. So between 54 and 60, or 55 and 64, the median balance is about $93,000. That's about $300 a month. If you take 4% of that a year, you're looking at about 3,600, something like that. And you divide that by 12, you get $300 a month. And $300 a month with $70 to $80 to $90,000 of expenses to live an average life. So if your median balance doesn't help you, that means that half the people, think about this. And this is, I think they've got 2 to 3 million participants. More than that, half the people are behind schedule. It's unbelievable. And I've got friends that are staring 80 in the face, staring 80 right in the face, and they're working. And they don't want to. They want to be busy, they want to be fulfilled, but they also would like to have the option not to, to do what they want to do. And they're in a cash crunch, and they'll come to me and like, what do I do? And some of them say, well, I'm too old to learn new tricks. Well, then they're going to sleep in the bed they made. But learning is the answer. If you have a problem you don't know how to solve, it's because, well, I don't know something. So there are answers to it. There are ways to catch up. There are things you can do, but they require a lot of work, a lot of effort, a lot of catch up. If you're going to cram for the test, you're going to put a lot of calories before that test, right? You got to do the cramming. If you didn't study, you don't throw your hands in the air. You say, okay, I got 2 days before this exam or this paper's done. I got to put my full focus and attention on it if I'm going to get it done.
Now, one more question before we take a break. In the break, maybe it's more of a how-to, and maybe that kind of answers my first question here, is now that we're like, oh crap, this is serious. If I always do what I always done, always get what I always got, I got to do something different then. Is it possible for me to build wealth? Is it possible for me to retire? That's what a lot of people are thinking right now. Is it possible?
Well, the Bible says with God, anything is possible. But I also think if you pray and say, help me out, he's going to say, well, I've given you everything you need. It's already there. I've already blessed you with it. One of the documentaries I can't stand is The Secret. You just think about things. They're going to get baloney, man. You get up in the morning, you do things, and you manipulate the world. You don't wait for the world. The secret is saying, just think about it and your ship will come in. No, get in the frickin' water and swim. Go out and swim to it. If you're tired of your ship, waiting for your ship to come in, then get in the water and swim out to it. And that's how I feel about it. So if it is to be, it's up to me. I've stopped trying to convince people, though. I don't have the energy for it anymore. If it's like in the Bible, Noah is saying, hey, man, there's a flood coming. And people are like, yeah, sure, there's a flood coming. Fine. I'm building my ark. I'm building my ark. And if people want to use that as a template to build their ark, great. But if they don't, I'm done. I used to be a really good salesman back in the day when I first started my career. Now I just shrug my shoulders and say, you know what, buy what you want to buy into whatever philosophy you want to buy into. But there are solutions. That's the big thing. And maybe after the break, we can get into some of those. There's one big one that's really important to understand.
All right. Let's do that.
We can unveil.
I'm excited to unveil that. So let's take a quick break. If you're feeling behind financially, the goal isn't to catch everyone else. The goal is to create a plan that works for you. So when we come back, Andy's going to share some practical strategies for accelerating wealth, creating cash flow, making the most of the years that are ahead. And don't forget, go to StockCastBonus.com. Download your free resources. This is where you start taking control of your financial future. Stick around. We'll be right back.
So far, it's been great. I needed a source where I could really enrich my education through stocks. I didn't really have an avenue for it, and it's helped me a lot. The simplicity has really gotten me on the track to where I enjoy the learning as well as it's really solidifying in my mind. And like, they're not just trying to sell you something. They really care about the people that are in the course, and they really do care about you and your personal goals, and what you want to do is to help you and your family and whatever your goals are in life through that. So it's really been great.
Welcome back to Rich Dad StockCast. Andy, let's talk solutions. Now that we are all maybe a little, I don't want to say scared or frustrated or whatever it might be.
Maybe the word would be focused. Maybe it would be a little alarmed or concerned. I don't think it's afraid. Fear doesn't do anything for anybody, but I think being properly aware and awake is to everyone's benefit.
100%. All right. So now all of our listeners are awake. We're focused. Now we're sitting here thinking, Andy, help me. What do I do? What's the step to take?
So there's a 1-2 punch in wealth building, and they're absolutely, they're so big that a person could really just spend their life studying those two things. They're that big. There's more money created by these two principles than anything you can possibly compare it to. They're just time tested, rock solid. They're stable in time. They just work. And, I know people have used both of them. The first one is the Warren Buffett example, a guy who did start when he was 9. I think he bought his first stock when he was 14. And he compounded. And compound interest is hard. It is not, our neural network can sort of understand it, but it really can't comprehend it. And there's a difference. There's a difference between understanding something, appreciating something, and comprehending something. And compound interest is, for example, we can't comprehend certain numbers once they get, like, if I say a billion and a trillion and a quadrillion, those just meld together. I mean, we can't really see what those numbers, like, I know what $1 million looks like. $1 million in hundreds is a duffel bag that, is about yay big. That's how big, I can comprehend 1 million. But a trillion, that's like a building. That's like a building of money. It's like end to end, you go to the sun and, loop it how many times. It's incomprehensible. So compounding has so much power that it's incomprehensible. It's understandable and it's studyable. It's learnable. You can even appreciate it, but no one can comprehend it. It's just too big. Well, that's one thing, and some people have missed the compounding boat, so they got to catch up. They look at what they could have, would have, should have compounded, and the multi-millions that they could have had they compounded, and they have regret, and they get all bummed out because they didn't compound. Okay, we'll start now. Start compounding it. Well, I don't have enough time. It takes too long. The line goes low, 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 and then it goes up like this, right? It's just that hockey stick. Well, I don't have the time to do. Well, okay, so we got to advance ourselves to where the hockey stick could be, right? We got to get there quick. So the second thing is leverage. And this is where I part ways, not necessarily even respectfully, maybe a little disrespectfully to guys like Dave Ramsey, because I don't respect him at all. I don't want to be disrespectful, but his philosophies just blow my mind. I would never buy into his stuff and what he says. Like the no debt thing, I was talking to my colleagues yesterday and I was lamenting at this, real estate property I've had some headaches with in terms of just, nothing big, nothing that bothers me every day. But that investment alone, we mentioned that, that little house is probably worth about $400,000 now. And I bought it with a HELOC. Years ago, like this is probably getting close to 20 years ago, and it cost me maybe $130 or something, and I bought it, and the renters have paid it, and then I bought it with a HELOC with no money, none of my own, and then I refinanced it after I got it done, because I bought it with cash from the HELOC, and then I just had the renters pay the payment, right? And so now, there's an asset that'll cash flow that's $400,000. It's just one asset. Now think about that for a minute. That's one house that took me one freaking week. 1 week to put that deal together. 1 week, 3 days of the week. And that's worth, 400% more than the median balance of a 401k guy? One transaction with debt, Dave Ramsey, and you're telling me that's a bad idea? Don't hurt people like that. That's a blessing. You're pulling millions of dollars from people's future by saying don't use debt as a lever. Now, let's talk about debt and a lever, and we'll talk about two levers. And I apologize for being a little long-winded. I should let you ask more questions, but this is the deal, man. This is every day for me. So we're going to talk about two types of leverage, but a metaphor first. And Dave, if you're listening, I'll use small words so you can understand. There were some children, little children, on the news last night. I didn't watch the whole story, but I guess they were playing with matches. They started the hill on fire, and the parents were trying to save the squirrels or something, and they burnt this pretty good patch of brush, and they could have got away from them, right? And so the someone's going to wave their finger, say, "See, don't play with fire. Don't play with fire. It's dangerous. It's going to kill people. And nothing good can happen from that. Fire bad. like Gene Hackman, in Mel Brooks' Frankenstein, right? Gene Hackman goes in there and, well, the big Frankenstein is the stupid, fire bad, right? And lights the cigar and fire bad. I mean, it's just brainless. It's so stupid, fire bad. Now, when I was a kid, I did something different. I was a member of the Boy Scouts of America, which used to be an incredible Lord Baden-Powell, the Scout Oath, the motto, be prepared, the Scout Law, the slogan, do a good turn daily. All of these wonderful Scout laws of thrift and kindness and friendliness, right? And doing good at all times, right? Serving others. Great stuff. One of the things we learned was firecraft. We didn't play with fire, we mastered it. I could start a fire with flint and steel. I could start a fire with a bow and drill. I could start a fire and knew how to keep matches dry. I knew how to start a fire with a lens, magnifying glass. We learned so many different ways to start a fire. And let me tell you, if you're, REO Speedwagon and you're riding the storm out, that hypothermia will kill you faster than thirst and faster than hunger ever would. And if you can light a fire, you'll save your life. And so there's a difference between playing with matches and mastering the craft. It'll light your way. It'll keep you warm. It'll cook your food. It'll scare off the predator and the insects. And it'll give you warmth and a family place to gather and soothe your mind as you shut off the phone and just watch the fire flicker. Fire's beautiful. It's useful. And, you look at AI, the internet, the printing press, the wheel, but it started when we learned how to master fire. Our lives changed when we stopped being freaking afraid of lightning and fire and we learned how to use it. So Dave, knock it off with the debt stuff. Just stop. Just freaking stop, because it has blessed my life immeasurably. Now let's talk about other forms of leverage. I mean, let's not move off debt just right yet. You take a guy like Kenny McElroy and you remove all of his money right now. You take everything he has and you just distribute it. Let that dude in New York just take it all and distribute it. Kenny will have it back. And you've heard this before. Why is that? Because his business is designed to not require money. In other words, because he uses institutional debt from banks and private equity for the other part from private lenders, that means he needs no money to operate his business. All he needs is knowledge on how to create value for consumers and investors. And it's that knowledge that he has that runs the business. The rich, here's something to write down, everyone. Here's a little soundbite. The rich invest as if they have no money. The rich invest as if they have no money. In other words, they don't need any more money to do what they do than the guy homeless on the street addicted to fentanyl or whatever. Money isn't the issue. It's knowledge. Knowledge is the new money, as we say at the Rich Dad organization. So the idea of learning that and saying, look, I'm going to master this. That's the ticket. And that's your choice. People say, well, I'm too late to learn all that. Well, then, okay. Then that's your choice. Great. But it's learnable. Now, here's what I love about what I do. How about debt-free leverage? How about leverage that doesn't even require the borrowing of money? That's what the options market is. And with a lever long enough, you can move the world. And so there are things you can do. I won't get into the details here. That's why we have a 1-year course on option trading. It takes a year to get through it. A whole year dedicated. But I'll tell you, people go to med school, it takes them 8 years to get to that, or however many years it takes. 8 years. We're talking a year dedicated. My son did it in 9 months. My son did it in the 9th grade, 9th grader. He did it in 9 months. He did it in 1 school year. My older son did. My other son took a year. He put some of his in the summer. So you can learn that. So 2 concepts. compounding is the most powerful wealth building force in the universe on one hand. Leverage is number two. And if you combine the two and you study the two, those are not new concepts. They're foreign to guys like Susie Orman and Dave Ramsey. Foreign. Don't get me started. But those two concepts, really studying it genuinely, understanding the power of compounding and how to use fire the proper way. To just think of the warmth of the fire. I have 4 fires going on in my backyard at the same time. I have a fire table, I have a wood fire pizza oven, I have a fireplace, and I got a barbecue grill, and I got a burner. I got 5 fires going on all the time, and they're the favorite part of my property is my outdoor kitchen and those outdoor moments where we sit around the fire or use it to cook or heat, and we master it. We have not had a problem with it. We burn a bag of popcorn in the microwave once in a while, but other than that, no harm done. So yeah, if you're behind, study and learn how to lever and learn how to catch up, because leverage, it's an accelerator. Leverage just helps you get stuff faster. Look, if you play with fire the wrong way, it'll burn you. David's not wrong there. Look, you get a credit card and you go buy stupid stuff. That's playing with fire. And what does it do, though? It gets you in trouble faster. And it gets you stuff faster. Well, if you use it to buy stupid stuff, that's your problem. But if you use it to buy good stuff that pays for itself, it makes all the sense in the world. Complete sense. In fact, we're idiots if we don't have utility in the liability column. The 2 parts of the 3 financial statement: income statement, but the balance sheet. The balance sheet is assets and liabilities. Both of those columns, I look through the lens of utility. How am I using the asset column? How am I using the liability column? And how does the cash flow through those two? And if you understand how cash flows through things, you can see that that fire is not good or bad, is a function of utility that decides whether it's good or bad. To label the liability column as a bad thing or the asset column as a good thing is not true. You put cash in the asset column, that's poor utility. That is a bad thing. It is a bad thing to have cash in the asset column. That's hard pill for people to swallow. It's bad because inflation is killing it. And the cash value is shrinking. It is a bad thing to have something in your asset column that is shrinking. It is a bad thing. What if you have that same thing in the liability column is shrinking? That's a good thing, because I'm going to pay it back with dollars that are worth less. And the fact that escapes someone who's, a guru at that, I shouldn't be that mean to him, but I just think it hurts people. I just think it hurts people to promote yourself, waving your finger. You shouldn't have these lattes, and you shouldn't. That's not intelligence. That's discipline. It doesn't take any creativity to tell people to stop spending so much. That takes no and then give your money to Wall Street mutual funds. I mean, what intelligence and creativity and knowledge and education is that? None. Don't get me going. I haven't had a rant on this show. I haven't had a rant on this show like this for a while, so don't get me going.
I like the rant. Now I want to recap a little bit and pull a couple nuggets out of there to thinking about the investor. Okay, I don't have this huge 401k. I don't have this huge balance, right? But I can have cash flow that's almost as good, right? Financial freedom occurs when my passive income meets or exceeds my expenses, right? Now, if I'm going to have an asset that makes the cash flow, before I get the asset, I have to have knowledge, like Kenny. So Kenny has the knowledge. So knowledge to buying an asset, cash flow, financial freedom. Is that kind of the play? Does that sound about right?
Yeah, I think it is. But the knowledge is really important, or you are playing with matches, right? We had to learn the bow and drill. We had to learn the flint and steel. We had to learn how to extinguish the fire when we left the campground, right? The knowledge is the knowledge and the temperament. Those 1-2 punch of knowledge and temperament determine whether you're utilizing or playing with it, trifling with it.
So the last question, if someone feels like they've started late, what's one action they could to start this week that would help them with the first piece of it, the education?
Well, we always advertise StockCastBonus.com. There's so many resources there, but let's get specific. We have this thing called the Power 6. It's how to manipulate those 6 numbers, how to have a weekly meeting, how to have a change in your life, how to catch up. And then just check out some of those webinars where we use some of that leverage, and you'll see, wow, it's a lot less risky as you think. I don't freak out when I light my barbecue grill. Could it burn me? Every time I use it could burn me. And yet it never does. Why? Because I respect it and I know how to use it. I have zero fear to cook a steak or I look forward to doing a pizza in my pizza oven. I look forward to getting that fire right, perfect. That thing's 1,000 degrees. Cooks a pizza in 90 seconds. It's beautiful. I look forward to it because I'm not afraid of it. I know how in the pizza oven you have conduction, you have convection, and you have radiant heat. You have 3 sources of heat, and you balance those out, and you learn it, and you make a pizza. Well, in the investment world, we have leverage with no debt with options. We have leverage with debt if you want to use it. You have private equity debt. You have public. It's just understanding it. It's just learning it, and it's just like lighting your barbecue grill. Doesn't get our temperature up at all, and it blesses. My life's better. I don't want to eat raw meat. You can eat your sushi, keep it. I'm having a steak that's cooked medium rare. I need a little sear on it. I can't eat it rare, Dave. I'm going to use the fire. I'm going to cook my food, and I'm not going to panic. I'm not going to panic because I light my. I have gas burners. I'm not going to panic because I use a gas burner.
Well, if there's anything, there's 2 things that I'm hungry for. Number 1 is financial education. Number 2 is pizza right now. After all this pizza talk, I could definitely use some.
I know how to do the pizza, baby. We know how to do it, man. All right.
Well, listener, the best time to start building wealth may have been years ago, but the second best time is today. So your future won't be determined by when you started. It'll be determined by what you do next. So thank you, Andy, for breaking this down, what it means to start late. Love the rant, love the passion behind it.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. And I think that gives us hope. Like, hey, it doesn't matter what I did yesterday. It matters that I start today. And listener, if you're ready to take control of your financial future, just head over to StockCastBonus.com right now. You'll find free tools and resources designed to help you to invest smarter and to build confidence. And if this episode gave you any sort of value whatsoever, please like it, please subscribe, share it with someone who thinks that they've missed their chance. You're not here by accident. You're building something that most people won't. So stay smart, stay invested, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Del.
This podcast is a presentation of Rich Dad Media Network.